Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
And we're back, Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblentz in studio alongside
Art Shirley.
And Jay Reed. I love the dramatic pause, Jay. Jay's awake now, getting into it.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
I had no idea what we did last time.
Yeah, no, we never do anyway. It's just, even though it's been mere moments for us. You guys have had to wait all week or weeks. Who knows? Who knows? Or maybe not at all.
Maybe not.
Maybe not at all. So, all right, let's jump into Geeks of the Week. Who wants to go first?
Jay, you want to go first this time?
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
But I will defer if you...
No, go ahead. I've got... Well, is yours a happy one?
It's kind of neutral.
Okay. I've got another obituary.
Okay.
Why don't we get the obituary out of the way, and we can spend the rest of the show recovering.
Okay. All right. As we recorded a couple of days ago, Roger Sweet passed away. Does anybody know who Roger Sweet is? Did anybody see this in the story? You look like
Was he the He-Man dude?
He-Man dude, yes. He was a Mattel
He-Man.
toy designer lead designer for Mattel's preliminary design department, which would be a cool job. Wouldn't that be a fun job to have?
Back when toys meant things.
Yeah, a little backstory. In 1976, Mattel CEO Ray Wagner declined a request to produce a toy line of action figures based on the characters from George Lucas's Star Wars.
One of the biggest
mistakes of all time.
Kenner made bank.
So they spent the next several years trying to find something that would compete with Star Wars and just had no luck. Sweet came up with the idea of He-Man and
He-Man.
The He-Man Woman Hitters Club?
No.
Different one?
No,
He-Man.
different one. Yeah.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, it's a bummer because, that movie is just about to come out.
I know. I thought about that too. The second live action He-Man movie is coming out.
The non-Dolph Lundgren one.
I don't know. Maybe he's dodged a bullet here. We'll see how good it is. But his idea was that you could take He-Man and you could put him into any context. So I don't know that necessarily he was the sword and sorcery kind of guy at first, that they were going to do He-Man and maybe there were going to be a whole line of stuff, maybe kind of like a G.I. Joe He-Man and, you do all this stuff. But he ended up being kind of and He-Man was after my time watching cartoons.
He-Man was roughly, 82, 83?
Yeah. Yes, it sure was. It was kind of right after the, right after the Star Wars trilogy, first trilogy came out. So, anyway, he came up with that toy line, and from then we had the cartoon that helped market it. And
I'd forgotten it was a toy first, and then the cartoon.
Yeah,
we talked about that
so
before.
much of it, you have they'll make a cartoon, and especially in that time, they would, you had Lion-O. What was that? All the cat-based people, Thundercats.
Oh, Thundercats, yeah.
Uh-huh. So you had toys and cartoons that were kind of hand in hand coming out, and the G.I. Joe cartoon and toy, the
revitalization,
the revised 6-inch G.I. Joe,
as opposed to the 12-inch figures that Art and I had earlier in our youth.
Did you have those, Jay? Have we talked about that? You did not have those.
I didn't do much with G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Because he's not a real American hero.
Geronimo and Custer and
so the Marx toys,
West.
Johnny West, yeah. Did those as well too?
People, yeah.
Okay,
we had a wide variety.
A wide variety, which you still have.
They're in Mrs. Reed's closet.
Of course, are they?
Except all the Lone Ranger stuff. Rusty decided that
he absconded with.
He absconded with him, but he's taken it to a very, very deep level as far as collecting goes. So
really,
he has a whole like a lawyer's book. He's a lawyer, by the way. Like a lawyer's kind of bookshelf thing, just full of Lone Ranger stuff.
So he's restricted his personality quirk of collecting to Lone Ranger, while you have just.
I wouldn't say he's restricted it. It is a focus. But he's got some other foci as well.
So who's got more
Mr. Potato Heads?
You or him? Who's got more?
Probably me.
Yeah,
but I mean,
because you have your mom's house.
That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother episode.
That really might be Reed's Boys Collectors. It might be a little spin-off or something episodes.
That could almost
We
be
did a collecting episode, but it was years ago, and Rusty was not involved. We'll have to bring him in.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we would need a therapist to come in, too, to try to
Well, we could
diagnose.
probably just walk down the hall and find one.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe Will would come back.
That's not a bad
That's
idea.
not a bad idea.
Will could have a diagnosing on air.
Might need multiple episodes.
Yeah, we would.
One per
He might
host.
realize at some point, he said, hey, wait a minute. I'm kind of getting ripped off. I'm doing an hour of therapy.
So forget shrinking; it would be diagnosing. You know,
Shrink wrapped.
oh, that's really good. Yeah,
Put
The
that. We
shrink
got our own-
wrap with just RAP. Shrink wrap.
Oh, even better. Gosh, that's a yes.
wow. I tell you what,
All right, we need to cut all that so nobody steals this idea.
nobody listens.
Yeah, that's true.
That's helpful.
We don't have to worry about that.
Cousin Mervin's shrink wrap.
Starring Mrs. Reed.
Yeah, he's almost gone. So, all right. I thought you were going to laugh and pass out. That's still
Not today.
I think the episode where he laughs and passes out.
Is that the last episode?
I think that's it.
That's what we're starting.
There's nothing else we could get on top of that. So, all right, Jay.
Well, I had it pulled up and it disappeared. Let me see. Y'all may remember. You may actually know more about this.
Which you?
Directing it to you, but Art maybe as well.
He's pointing at me.
Yeah, pointing at Robbie.
Loyal listeners.
You know, we talked a
True
few episodes
believers.
back about things that had come out of CinemaCon. Well, another thing that came out of CinemaCon that we didn't talk about is a new movie theater sort of experience called Infinity.
Called 3D.
Yeah. Have we talked about it?
Speaking of talkies.
Are you saying that's an old Infinity Vision? Have you heard of this?
I have not.
Okay, it's a new certification for premium large format theaters.
So Marvel's doing this for
There's
it's a Marvel
couple things. Yeah, Marvel isn't. I think they may have been the one that that was discussed around.
Yeah.
So they're saying it's going to have like the largest possible screen, reasonable laser projection for superior brightness and clarity, and then premium audio. So it doesn't go into detail, and I probably wouldn't understand it anyway. But it's just another certification. It's going to start. They're going to re-release Avengers Endgame in September.
That's right, with new footage at the end.
And then December, Avengers Doomsday. I mean, I don't think our local theater will have it, but the bigger cities with the bigger theaters, I guess it's going to be a better experience.
So
theoretically,
it's not unlike Lucas doing the THX sound certification back in the day. If you guys remember that stinger, the audience is watching. It's listening.
Yeah.
The audience is listening.
and like Dolby was in its day.
Yeah, and Dolby's still there. Dolby certification is still there. But the thing was, prior to Lucas with THX certification, it was just a crapshoot of how your standards were, and it got to a point where some theaters were not allowed to show things unless you had a THX certified viewing experience.
So what was that? What was the name of the system that they were using when we went to the Rust Half thing?
So that was a Dolby. But it was
a tweak. Well, it had a certain
I can't remember, but it was a Dolby certified
from the Dolby
listing.
family. But
Yeah, which was pretty incredible. So,
Anyway, so I mean, if you're in a big enough city, look for the Infinity Vision certification.
I wonder how much that's going to cost to get certified.
I don't know. Probably a good bit.
You think?
I don't know. I guess it wouldn't make sense to make it too expensive because people wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't show your movie.
Yeah.
So,
You want to get to a certain level of. When's the last time you guys seen anything in IMAX? I don't know that I've ever seen a movie bona fide in IMAX.
Yeah, I've always seen. I've seen a couple of documentary type stuff.
Yeah.
but not.
We saw one of the trilogy movies. I think it was the third one, which is what? Revenge of the Sith? I mean,
Which trilogy? There's three.
I'm sorry, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. I saw that in IMAX.
Where at?
Chicago.
Chicago.
And they actually.
Was it any better big?
It was cool, especially the Coruscant scenes.
Yeah.
Or the.
Mustafar?
No, maybe it was the second one. What's the one where they're in Coruscant and they're fighting on the look like land speeders, and they're falling back and forth, and Anakin jumps off and goes, there's an assassin that's killed somebody. That may be the second one.
Yeah, that's
what, because they tried to kill Amidala. Padme. Yeah. So that's the one we saw. It's in Chicago, and we saw it in Chicago. And they cut. I'd seen it already in the theaters, and they cut so much time out of it. So it was kind of strange.
So it was 45 minutes long, and it made more sense.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the Attack of the Clones cut.
That's right.
So.
Okay. But it was very cool to see that. You kind of looking around, trying to find a focal point as opposed to. But it's neat. It's very immersive.
Yeah.
And then also saw First Man, which was a Ryan Gosling movie about
Neil Armstrong,
which is a commercial movie, and as opposed to a documentary. We saw that in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was cool. The moonscape scenes were very cool to see those.
Fun. Cool. Fun. All right, that was your geek. It's time for me a geek. Ted Lasso 4 trailer dropped, and so the setup is Ted Lasso is going back to England to coach the AFC Richmond women's team. Mm-hmm. So Coach Beard's with him, all the regular cast of characters, but the guy who played Nate doesn't appear to be anywhere. I guess he's coaching the men's team now. Okay, yeah. Who knows? So Art and I were talking during the break where you were not with us. We just don't know that they can go back to the well again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think, Jay?
I will give it a shot for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll all watch it. But, I mean, even like by the third season, to me, maybe the second season, you were starting to kind of feel like, okay, well, the novelty of the first season, which was just incredible, had worn off. It was still great television. It was really.
But if he's going to coach a women's team, that's going to introduce a whole new dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So maybe they can more storytelling ideas on that.
Yeah, I think so. And some shows are just good because of the characters, and you don't care what they do.
Yeah.
And I think you've got enough characters in this that we all love that maybe we won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
because we saw him again.
How many episodes is it?
I don't know.
I do think there's been kind of the right amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
They were not super long episodes in the beginning, were they?
No, they were
30 to 45.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be the sweet spot for Apple. Is anybody watching what's the new horror-ish show on Apple TV Plus that just dropped? That's got what's his face from The Americans.
Oh, yeah. I saw the billboard
Widow's
for that.
Bay.
Widow's Bay.
So
it looks interesting. Horror's not my thing, but
yeah, it looks like it's pretty funny, but horror funny.
Okay.
The sea is now open. I may watch the first episode just for giggles.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch this horror show for giggles.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be fun.
Margot's Got Money Troubles is quite good. Don't watch it in mixed companies, I'll tell you. So you want to watch that with Mrs. Reed. But it's got Nick Offerman and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, it looks good. We're watching Michelle Pfeiffer in The Madison, which is on Paramount Plus.
Gotcha.
And she's great.
Yeah.
She's having a moment.
She is. She kind of have a resurgence, isn't she?
You know what we didn't talk about last week? We need to talk about, speaking of Apple, bye-bye.
Oh, my gosh.
Tim Cook.
Yeah, I think I texted you after last week's episode and couldn't believe we mentioned that.
Mention that. So last week, Tim Cook announced he's going to step down as CEO of Apple effective September 1, and he'll become executive chairman. John Turnus who's head of Apple hardware right now, will become new CEO, which is kind of cool. And Tim Cook reminds me a lot of, because it all comes back to Doctor Who, as Matt Smith's tenure as the Doctor versus David Tennant as Steve Jobs. Everybody remembers David Tennant's absolutely brilliant, but the massive expansion of Doctor Who happened while Matt Smith was the Doctor. Same things happened Steve Jobs set all this into motion. I think arguably the greatest CEO of all time, but the massive transformation and expansion has been under Tim Cook's watch. Mm-hmm. And, he's a logistics guy. And some of the things I've watched have said.
An Auburn graduate.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay. I also went to Duke Business School. But you remember when you would have an iPhone launch day and the lines would be out the door.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
If you want an iPhone, you can pretty much get it on the day it launches now.
And from a marketing aspect, lines out the door is great. From a customer satisfaction, if that happened every time, people would say, I'm not going to get an iPhone.
That's right. That's right.
So it worked well the first couple of times to kind of go, we've got to have this. Now that people realize they've got to have it, you want to make sure they can get it.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
So some of his Apple products that I'm going to see if I can pull up a list here. Stuff he was in, we'll go all the way back. Apple Vision Pro, iPhone Air, the new MacBook Neo, which is redefining the lower end laptop, all the services expansion. So iCloud, Apple Pay, Apple TV Plus. It went under his tenure. Apple expanded from a $350 billion market cap to a $4 trillion market cap. So how crazy is that? The expansion of the watch happened under his purview. The new Apple Silicon, which is at the basis of everything they're doing, AirPods, just so much stuff has happened. And then the Apple TV Plus programming, everything that we've talked about. I mean, we talked about Pluribus last episode and just how much we watch Apple TV Plus. That all came on his watch. So, well done, Mr. Cook. Well done, even though you are a War Eagle guy. So apparently he follows Auburn religiously.
Oh, yeah.
He's done they do their little, like you guys have got your little hotty-totty thing. They've got their little War Eagle thing at the beginning. And he's done
that a few times.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, he's done really, really well. So having a hardware guy at the helm may bring us back to a little bit more unification of hardware. I don't know that they understood what they had with the MacBook Neo.
I don't think they did.
You can't get one right now. They're back ordered. So, but anyway, yeah. So, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get caught up on villains up next.
And now it's time for Jay's Regrettable Segment. Jay's Regrettable Segment brought to you by Captain Mortgage. Yes, Captain Mortgage, the rum for retirees who are using their reverse mortgage to fund their lifestyle. And now, with Jay's Regrettable Segment, regrettably, it's Jay Reed.
That was
great.
You've had that one in the hopper.
I thought about that on the way in.
Yeah. So
drinking rum on the way. I drove it.
You are leading the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So changes in attitude.
Yeah.
Changes in latitude. All right.
Get me singing now.
Jay, what you got there, buddy?
All right. Well, I want to remember to shout out John Morris is coming from the Legion of Regrettable Supervillains. Today's villain, actually, I think I like his superhero enemy.
Okay.
Maybe more interesting than the villain itself. So this guy's name is the Dictator, and his enemy is Mr. Justice. So just to give the credits created by Joe Blair, and it says and Warren King and or Sam Cooper. So I don't mean if they all had participation in this somehow, or
they just don't know who the other partner was.
The original guy. So debuted in Blue Ribbon Comics number 13 in 1941.
I've not heard of that company or those people.
Yeah, so that's probably the reason he's in this book. Yep. So the Dictator, like I said, the enemy was Mr. Justice, and I think he's, like I said, he's maybe more interesting than the villain. He's described as the avenging spirit of a murdered 11th century English prince.
Wow.
Who returns to battle evil in the modern day.
His last name is Valiant.
Yeah. So you just do what you will with that. But so this happens in the 40s. So what's going on in the 40s is World War II. You've got Hitler, everything. So basically there's a lot of characters in the comic age of that time that either are directed by Hitler or have Hitler vibes or whatever. A lot of Hitler involved.
When did you say this came out?
1941.
Okay.
So Hitler, this one is the combination of Hitler and Satan, basically. That's kind of how they bill him here.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of Hitler references. The Dictator is the combo. And this might be actually the best secret identity ever, is that he transformed himself into an anonymous house painter. Now, that's all the author says, is he's an anonymous house painter and somehow, is trying to turn spreading a gospel of evil and terror and all this stuff. So Mr. Justice comes along to confront him. There's not really a lot about the powers. Mr. Justice says they must be stopped, blah, blah, blah. Time to stop ignoring the dictator. Do something about him. Doesn't that rouse your spirits? Let's do something about this. I don't know. So they clash, somehow they stretch this into half a dozen plus issues. And then after a while, the dictator decides, I'm going to send my minions out to fight. So instead of fighting him directly, sends out the Evil Eye and the Green Ghoul. Now, was there a Green Ghoul later, or am I thinking of Green Goblin?
You're thinking Green Goblin.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
There's some kind of ghoul thing too, but I don't know if it was.
Yeah, so he sends out his subordinates, and then they use the word. I actually looked this up once. This is just from the author of the book. Concatenation. Anybody know what concatenation means?
I've heard of it before.
It's like a combining or like a conglomeration of. It says I can't even say it. Concatenation of the supernatural incarnation of all evil and the political leader of the Western world's most aggressive military dictatorship. So it kind of fizzles out apparently when he stops fighting him directly and starts sending out his lieutenants. But I don't think this character would. I think the villain is regrettable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious about
House
Mr.
Painter
Justice.
Secret Identity is kind of fun.
It's clever, yeah.
His name is
Justice
Schneider.
maybe, but yeah.
On a spoof.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking to from
From
Murphy
One Day
Brown.
at a Time?
Oh no, I was thinking of the guy from Murphy Brown. But either one. Schneider. Yeah,
the super from One Day at a Time with Schneider, because he had his cigarettes rolled up in his white shirt.
The vest on. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going with regrettable on the villain, but maybe
The nemesis is redeemable.
redeemable. Yeah, I was thinking reformable. What is our word? We hadn't done this in a while.
Yeah, regrettable, redeemable, and retconable. Sure. Is that what we said?
No, that's new.
That's new.
But that's a good
I thought we
addition.
had three.
I thought it was just two.
Redeemable,
I thought it was just-
unredeemable, and
Oh, there was one. Yeah.
Regrettable.
regrettable.
What's the difference between
No, I think
unredeemable?
there was three, but
Yeah.
I can't remember them all.
Yeah,
So we'll just go with two today.
yeah.
Because I'm more just curious to find out more about why an 11th century murdered prince shows up.
Whose name was Valiant?
Are we voting on Mr. Justice or the Dictator?
The Mr. Justice is the bonus, but I think we're voting on the
Dictator, regrettable.
Regrettable.
I agree.
Agree? Okay.
So,
All right.
we got time for one more.
Okay. The next one is Dr. Dracula.
Okay.
Who? Dr.
Dracula.
Not Dr. Acula.
We'll get to that in just a second. His enemy was Captain Battle. I'll tell you more about him in a second. This is created by Otto and Jack Binder.
Yes.
That sounds more
You know
familiar.
them?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Debuted in Silver Street
Plastic
Comics number
Man.
17, also in 1941. So a little bit about Captain Battle. He's a one-eyed tough guy in a star-spangled suit. So if you see the picture, he kind of has Superman with a patch. Instead of an S, he's got a big star on his chest.
Okay.
He's the precursor to Cyclops.
Well, and he's got a
He's going to die in X-Men
sidekick,
3.
a kid sidekick named Hale Battle.
Hale.
It's his secret identity, Ricky Bobby.
Right. They have something called the all-seeing curvoscope, which helps them find Dr. Dracula and his minions, and jet-powered luciflyers. Luciflyers, which kind of, you read Lucifer, you think definitely villain, but these are the good guys. So I don't know what that means. In the Dracula name, he looks like sort of he's green in the picture. He's got wings. He's got a cowl, very much like Batman, but with fangs. And he's got vampire-esque assistants with him too. But we don't know why it's Dr. Dracula. There's no tie-in to the original Dracula. He doesn't seem to be medical doctor, so it's just a name.
Yeah.
There may be more in the actual comic, but it doesn't say how long this one lasted, but it doesn't seem like it was very much. So Dr. Dracula comes along. He steals a death ray from a guy named Professor Fosdick. And
sure he did.
Foreshadowing, Professor Fosdick passes away at the other end of his own death ray when Dr. Dracula comes in to take it. And really, there's not a lot going on here. it mentioned that he was German, which would fit the whole 1940s, early 40s World War II vibe.
Yeah.
And, Captain Battle comes along. They find him by way of the curvoscope, and they hop on their luciflyers and head in. But they really don't. They're not even real vampires. Somehow they have fangs, but otherwise it's just a winged suit. And they were Nazi spies. They were just Nazi spies in a uniform.
Maybe he was a dentist. And put fake fangs in people. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a gosh, my mind is going blank as usual, but a tooth that is replaced. I'm trying to think what the
denture.
No, just one, just like one. Anyway,
bridge,
fake tooth. You're getting warm.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Anyway.
I've got one right here, but I can't think of what they called it. Implant.
Yes.
Or maybe he implanted the fangs.
Yes.
But this one kind of goes out with a whimper. There's nothing.
Very E.E. Cummings.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing really happening here.
As does this episode.
Right.
This is how the universe ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Yeah.
Pity this busy monster man and cannot not.
So it kind of, even the description really just kind of comes to an end there, and that's it.
Does it really come to an end, or does it just trickle off the page?
It kind of trickles a little bit.
Yeah.
It ends in a complete sentence, and this is no knock on Mr. Morris, but I think that gives us for me, the vote is
Regrettable.
Okay,
yeah.
absolutely.
There's no originality to it. There's no tie-in. And granted, we're just reading one page of a summary, but and why is a superhero that can, I don't know, it looks like he can fly, even though they've got luciflyers to ride on.
Uh-huh.
So, why do you need that if you could fly? But it does have Superman vibes. The Dracula is just not, It seems like a desperate attempt to catch on, just to ride somebody else's coattails.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say regrettable.
I would agree. Regrettable.
All right.
So regrettable. All right. So that does it for us this episode, right? Nothing else to add?
Whimpering on out of here.
Whimpering for the good of the cause. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.